what do you think, if you know of anybody planning a gathering, what advice would you give them? Actually, this is more planning it, so not
Yeah,
like attending.
yeah. I would say a couple things. First of all, the more central the location for all activity for the weekend, the better. South Tube, the first South Tube was this shining example on that front. The weekend's activities and lodging were all in one place, and that place had a variety of events to do, including karaoke, which I mean, from my perspective, is a must-have, and it has been included at some of my most cherished gathering events. Uh, but it's not for everyone. There has to be food on site. There has to be drinks on site. There have to be multiple public locations where people can just casually get together and enjoy each other's company. Those locations need to be preferably indoor and outdoor, and those locations need to be away from the guest rooms enough so that people can feel comfortable being as wild and crazy as they want up till all hours without disturbing other guests. Um, a lot of people like to have parties in their room, and that's great, but those parties, depending on how many people show up, can get loud and large.
Can they?
And we had an experience with that where we had to relocate our little party because it was getting too
It
loud and
wasn't a
large.
little party.
Well, no, yeah, when it stopped being little and started being loud, that's when
Yeah.
we had some trouble. So, but a site where the hotel and the events and the food and the drink are all available there, and that's located in a city center or a suburban area where there's a lot around there, a lot to walk to. So if somebody doesn't want to eat at the hotel, they can walk down to something down the street. And honestly, South Tube had all that. This gathering didn't have all that. But at least it had a hotel that a lot of us were at, but there weren't many facilities near the hotel. So it did cause some problems for people. That would be my biggest, recommendation. One big location that has everything, and if you want to, you could just stay there the entire weekend, and all your needs would be met. You'd never have to leave the
I
premises.
think the thing this one had, though, is they had a backup plan. For the gathering itself, they were able to go inside the Science Center, and that was planned really well. It was a little crowded, but at least there was plan B, and we didn't have to stand out in the rain.
Hmm.
Um, the night before, they had a lot of activities and stuff planned. And one of my annoyances at first was there was like so many plans, but I think that was good, and it was good to reel people in and get people there. Um, so it's always good to have plans, but it's also good to let people know about those plans on a timely basis too. Um, so yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. Uh, Gary, what was your favorite moment of the 888 gathering?
Um, there were many of them. I mean, when you think of, for me, 888 was like also about hanging out in Chicago
Hmm.
with you and driving with Brian and
Hmm.
staying up till like 5 in the morning with Katie and you every night and the, meeting Andy and Maria for the first time and making these crazy videos with, let's see, at first it was Katie and Jane on my bed, and then the next night with uh, who was there were a bunch of people painting me up apparently something. That was my stand-in. His name, that guy from Rent,
Oh,
Anthony
yeah,
Rapp.
Anthony
Actually,
Rapp.
they assaulted him. He's from Canada,
Mm.
so they took this guy from Rent and painted his face up. So that was pretty cool. My favorite moment was watching that video the next day and seeing what they did with my stand-in. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And then like every day had something, just meeting and suddenly hanging out with certain people. But I would probably say my favorite moment was hanging out in the lobby last night with a few piano players and singing songs for hours and hours.
Yeah.
And then that was on. Jason had a Stickam room set up eventually out there, and we got to like, oh, and even some of the Stickam link ups,
Hmm.
like we saw Master Gunner's two babies, and Speedy Kun, how do you say her name? I always
Speedy
call her
Kiwi.
Kiwi, was there in Germany, and I saw them and got to say hi. Like, that's really cool that they got to take part in our little gathering. But I think my best moment was the piano playing last night and all the singing. I mean, and just having a blast and letting it rip. By
Yeah.
far, hands down.
I would agree that my favorite moment was last night, the piano bar sing along. That was a similar event was my favorite moment of South Tube. Uh, but the drawback there was that Mo Girl 69 was the only one present there in the room that was able to play the piano. So you can only play the piano for so long before you get super tired and you need a break. And last night we had three, at least, no, I think, no, we had four. We had a bunch of different piano, three, I think it was three. We had three different piano players. So that when one would get tired, another one would step in and they'd play their
And we
songs.
were relentless with requests.
Yeah, and we made a million requests, and so we had all kinds of fun songs that were played on piano, and you had this whole room of, a couple dozen people just singing along at the top of their lungs, and sometimes being a little wild and crazy, and acting things out, and it was just
rolling on the floor.
Yeah, rolling on the floor, doing poses. Was I the one rolling on the floor? I don't remember. Laying on the piano. Laying on the piano was something that was witnessed. So anyway, it was it was just an amazing. It was just an amazing kind of final closing, to the big giant gathering, because today was kind of about packing up and saying
Today was about
goodbyes.
goodbyes.
Yeah.
So today was like nothing good.
Yeah.
It was like all more sad.
Yeah, it was sad. But but yeah, that was a huge highlight. And I have to. You mentioned about the Skype and Stickum. I have to say going back to the previous question about planning for future gatherings, Wi-Fi access, free Wi-Fi access. Really, that was something this hotel had that was excellent. I mean, the speed wasn't that great, but just being able to have Wi-Fi access so you could have people wandering around with their laptops with someone on Skype saying, "Here, say hi to so-and-so, say hi," or having Stickum rooms that they could put on top of the piano, load up Stickum, and then suddenly it's not only the piano bar at the hotel, but it's the piano bar on Stickum.
Yeah, because we saw, like, I got to see Blizzy Kitty and Chivalry Ain't Dead and Shannon, Nerd Fighter, and this whole Stickam room.
Yep.
That, not that I spent the whole night on Stickam, because I didn't. That's not why I'm there, to sit in front of a computer. But the way it was done, these people got to see at least some of the craziness going on.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first saw that at South Tube, I thought, well, come on, just you can't have Stickam off. But it wasn't about us being in Stickam. It was about letting those people see and experience some of the fun and have them there. And, waving hello to Kiwi was just cool, and just having more people there and seeing those people and just waving a quick hello. And then the Twitter thing, too, and being able to do a toast, and letting some of the Twitter friends just say hello and stuff was really cool. And they did at the Science Center on Friday night. They had a huge screen with Stickam up that people could get on and talk to the 888 Munich meeting.
Yeah, it was a simultaneous link up between the two.
Yeah, and I think they need more of that, because that's really cool, and that really brings the community of it together as it should, in a technological way, considering what we do here, Geek Patrol as we are.
Yep.